Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making this super cute little jam jar granny square as the 12th and final part of our Bake Shop blanket series. So you're going to need an H 5mm hook for this, and I'm using a bright kind of fire truck red yarn. I'm using Vanna's Choice as I have with all of my squares. We're going to start with a slip knot, and then you're going to chain 12. So go ahead and chain 12. You can use different colors for the jam jar itself. You could do a dark blue or kind of a burgundy color. You could do a lighter red. You could do anything you want with this jam jar color. I just chose to do red for strawberry jam. So in the second chain from our hook, we're going to do a half double crochet. And then we're going to keep half double crocheting all the way down the row. So you should wind up here with 10 half double crochets. There's our last one. And we're going to chain up 2. So that's how your first row should be looking. Go ahead and turn. And then we're just going to half double crochet in each stitch back the other way. And you're going to repeat that until you have 8 rows. So here we are on our last half double crochet right before we yarn over. I'm going to change colors here. So on our 8th row of half double crochets on the last stitch before you yarn over and pull through, go ahead and stop and put on a new color of yarn. I chose white to do the little top here. And go ahead and finish that stitch, chain 2 and turn. And then you're just going to repeat the same thing you've been doing, half double crochet in each stitch across, and you're going to do that for 2 rows. So here is row 1, and then there's row 2 finished in the white. Now don't chain or turn at the end of that second row. Just go ahead and single crochet down that side in the first row and the second row. And then we want to single crochet right where those colors have joined just to give it kind of a clean look. Now turn your work where it's upside down and look at that row of stitching. You can see the horizontal row there of those kind of front loops. What we're going to do is we're going to make some scallops. So we're going to double crochet in the second stitch, but just in that front loop. And we're going to work 5 double crochets into that stitch. So we're going to skip the first front loop in that row, and then we're going to work in the second one. And go ahead and work 5 double crochets in that stitch. So here we are with 4 and number 5. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch that scallop down in the very next front loop in that row of stitches. So you can see me there working in that very next stitch. Go ahead and slip stitch there. Sorry this is a little out of frame, but you can get the idea, hopefully. And then we're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to do the same thing again, 5 double crochets in the next one. So we're going to do 3 scallops here on the front. What this is going to do is create what looks kind of like, you know, when you make homemade jam or grandma made jam, and she would put that piece of fabric in the mason jar lid, and it would kind of flutter out around the edges and look real nice and pretty. That's basically what we're trying to create, an effect like that here. So we're trying to make it look like scalloped fabric on the lid is what I'm going for. So here we are working the last scallop. So we should have 3 scallops. You should skip the first stitch, work 5 double crochets, slip stitch, skip a stitch, 5 double crochets in the next stitch, slip stitch, skip a stitch, 5 double crochets in the next stitch. So here we are finishing that up, and then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch, which should be the next to last one in that row of stitches. And then we're just going to single crochet in the next stitch and back up that other side to get to that corner. So here we are, single crochet. And then we can go ahead and finish off our yarn here. So go ahead and snip your working yarn and we can finish that off. I'm going to go ahead and weave in my ends at this point because now is when we're going to embroider that cute little word on the jar itself. So go ahead and use your tapestry needle and weave in your ends, and then I will show you how to embroider the word jam. So just snip a piece of white yarn. You're going to tie a knot at one end and then thread your tapestry needle. I start with the A because in the word jam, the A is the center, so it's easier for me to start in the center and then work off of that. With any embroidery, that's what I do just to make sure that my wording is centered. I would hate to start on one end and work across horizontally and it doesn't come out centered. So I always start with the center, so start with the A and then do your J and your M. I use the stitches as kind of a guide. If you've ever cross-stitched and you learn to look at that Aida cloth with basically looking at the grid as counted stitches, I kind of look at my half double crochets here that way. So just making sure everything is in line, I look at the rows of stitches. So hopefully that'll help you a little bit. So after we've weaved that in and finished that off, we're ready to do our granny square portion. I just did this in a pink yarn, so you just want to attach that yarn at the top right corner, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets for that cluster, corner cluster, and then our side clusters as always are 3 double crochets. So you can see how I'm doing that here. If you are brand new to the Bake Shop Blanket series, welcome. And you can see a much more in-depth and detailed way of doing this and getting your granny square stitches on your Bake Shop motif in one of my earlier Bake Shop Blanket videos. The ice cream square in particular was the first one I did, and that video goes a bit more in-depth with how to do this granny square stitching around the motif. If you're brand new to crochet in general, I definitely recommend watching my traditional granny square video. That is going to give you the most information. It's about 25-30 minutes long, and it'll tell you all about granny squares, and it is a pattern in that video that we do that matches these Bake Shop Blanket square sizes. So I go over how to do your granny square stitches with the side clusters and corner clusters in that traditional granny square video as well, and that is on the Bake Shop Blanket playlist on my channel. So make sure to check that out if you're confused at all, but if you are continuing with our Bake Shop Blanket squares and you're used to this, just go ahead and continue. You want to do 3 rounds, as always, of the granny square stitches, and then you can just finish off, weave in your ends, and you are done. If you prefer, you can sew this scalloping down, but I kind of like it lifting a little. It looks more like the fabric that would be on a jam jar. So that is it for the jam jar granny square. This is the 12th and final part in our Bake Shop Blanket series. Next week I will be posting a video tutorial on joining your squares. I have a special method for joining these granny squares for this project. And then the week after that I will also be posting the border that I'm doing and just finishing off your blanket, and we can see the finished product all beautiful. So make sure to stay tuned for those and watch out for those next 2 videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.